Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live, Lead, and Inspire by Asia TV. I am your host, Asia Ghazi, and I'm really excited to bring you this interview today with my friend, Stacy Barnes. Stacy Barnes is a visual brand strategist. She's a formally trained graphic designer who teaches online marketing designers how to build and grow their personal brand. So obviously, today's topic is going to be on branding. And I'm sure this is something that a lot of you may actually enjoy learning about because branding is really important. Stacy has worked with high-level, six-figure entrepreneurs to create graphics to help them up-level and get their business up and running. She's also the host of Brand and Blossom, which is a really awesome podcast that she's created, and I was just interviewed on that. Her mission is to build brands and empower entrepreneurs. Thank you, Stacy, for being a part of Asia TV today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Asia. It's a pleasure being on here. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to have you. I'm actually really excited because I know we just finished recording Brand and Blossom with you. We just finished recording a podcast section with me. So now I'm excited to be interviewing you for our Asia TV show. And I really like that you call yourself a visual brand strategist. And I'm sure my audience is interested in knowing how you got from graphic designing to visual branding.
To visual branding. All right. So I actually have a business background. I studied at the University of Florida. I studied marketing, and I actually wanted to be in advertising. That's what I tell everyone. I wanted to create those gorgeous campaigns. Have you seen Mad Men? Or are you familiar with Mad Men?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before Mad Men was even a thing, I wanted to be part of like a sexy ad agency creating ads for cars and perfumes and luxury items. And I really love the whole idea of creating a narrative for a product and establishing a brand to get people to buy certain things. And so I was totally and completely fascinated by that. And so I studied marketing at the University of Florida, and I really wanted to help actually create the visual aesthetics of the ad as well. So I studied graphic design for 2 more years, and then life happened, and I ended up working in retail for nearly a decade. And so, as much as I didn't enjoy retail, it really helped me see the customer service aspect of business and be able to work with customers one-to-one, be able to talk to them. And I think, if you're in business, if you've ever, if you have the opportunity to work retail, even just for seasonal work, you get the opportunity to work with customers one-on-one and see their buying habits. But I'm starting to go on a tangent.
That's okay.
But retail is okay for a little bit, but I didn't feel like I was growing. I felt like I needed to do more. And so, I actually I started my own business as a wedding photographer, which is a very long story behind that. But when I had my daughter in 2012, I believe, I couldn't work as a photographer anymore. I wanted to stay at home. I wanted that family time with her. And so I transitioned back to being a freelance graphic designer. And so I've always been kind of in and out of graphic design, just that when I was working retail, it wasn't really lucrative for me. But since I was staying at home with my daughter, I decided to take on graphic design projects. And I started working with entrepreneurs on their graphics, their branding, their logos. And I really got interested in the whole side of like creating graphics for businesses and how the visual aspect of it really helps elevate a brand. And so I've seen brands that had kind of like these rinky-dink templated what's it called template websites to creating these really gorgeous and beautiful websites that really helped up level the brand. And so that's why I started getting into visual branding, because I knew the power of creating that visual impact with websites, with graphics, with social media. And so I want to share that with everyone. I want to be able to teach people how to create these graphics and be able to understand the power of visual branding and how it elevates their business.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's awesome. That's an awesome story. Okay. I just have a question to ask you.
Yeah.
How'd you find yourself in retail? Like, what happened? I got you into it.
So I actually started in retail, I think when I was just coming out of high school. And it was one of those things that I had a lot of experience in, and I was able to quickly find a job. So I worked everywhere from Pacific Sunwear, Walt Disney World, Abercrombie and Fitch, American Eagle, True Religion brand jeans. So I have all this, like these different, it's mostly clothing retail. Oh, Walgreens. I forgot about that. So, but it's an easy job to get into. I think I got in as seasonal, at Disney, and then I stayed on for a while. Same with American Eagle. I was at school and I was looking for seasonal work, and I was such a good employee, they promoted me to a manager. So I was like, okay. And so I was like, the pay's good. So I stayed. And that's how I ended up working in retail. It was just a thing to make money at the time. And I had a lot of experience at it. I was good at it. So I kind of stayed until it was like, okay, this is not what I want to do anymore. Time to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but see, that's great, because that's part of your journey of, like you said, you really were able to interact with customers. And I believe even by working with retail, I think just knowing the names, like Abercrombie and Fitch is such a popular name. And so is, True Religion, I think, is it True Religion?
Yeah. True Religion brand jeans. Yeah.
True. Yeah. And, you see these brands, and okay, transitioning into the branding aspect here, I'm sure that really triggered how does this brand work, and how did he put these together? So I'd love for you to give some insight into that, because I always found that interesting.
Yeah, because I'm selling at True Religion, their jeans are $200 to $300 retail, and you're there to sell a pair of $200 jeans to someone who doesn't really. Well, so to somebody who actually wants a pair of $200 jeans. So if I try to sell a pair of $200 jeans to a mom with 5 kids and no income, I mean, that's not going to work. Yeah. But True Religion has created a brand that really says that they're high quality jeans. They're made in America. They have this, True Religion is known for their kind of thick white stitching. They have a little horseshoe pattern on the bottom. And it's something that's known in the pop culture industry. And so that's kind of, what helps their brand is that, it's in a bunch of songs. It's in a bunch of songs. Pop artists sing about it. They wear the clothes. And so people see that, and it creates this image that True Religion brand jeans are for people who, are famous. They're celebrities, and people want that. They say, hey, I see that. I don't know which artist it was. I think it was Fergie. But yeah, they're wearing these jeans, and people are like, okay, if she's wearing those jeans, I have to have those jeans. And so they want to be, people have this need to be in proximity to celebrity, in proximity to fame and riches. And so if a brand can, position itself as a celebrity clothing, people are going to want that. That's why, Kim Kardashian or the Kardashians, they put out anything and it sells out like that. Like I heard like this perfume that she came out with that nobody has smelled before. The perfume sold out online within hours. I'm like, how does that happen? And it's because it's a brand. It's because it's of how it's positioned. And same with True Religion. People come in, they want the jeans because they want to be in proximity with celebrity. And it's really all about positioning, which is one of the 4 pillars that I talk about in terms of branding. But yeah, it's all about positioning yourself. If you can position yourself and get yourself known for something, then people will willingly pay a premium for your products and services.
Yeah. It's so funny because I had a feeling in my head that you were going to say Kim Kardashian, and boom, you just mentioned her name. It's interesting because I actually didn't know that she had a perfume out at all. So when did this just happen recently?
Yes, this was super recently. I think it was like last week.
I obviously am out of the loop of everything that goes on in the world of celebrities. But you made a good point, because what you're saying is in branding is, I see, and this is the reason why sometimes people go, well, how come we have to pay this much money for this? Is because you're seeing how this brand is being such an influence, like True Religion, that horseshoe, the thick lining that they have, the fact that it's mentioned and it's being worn by celebrities, and people want to be around celebrities, that they'd be willing to shell out money. Even if they don't have it, they'll be willing to find that money and shell out the $200 or $300 for a pair of jeans, because they want to feel that closeness, like you said, that proximity to a celebrity. And I think that actually is such a big power for brands.
Mhm.
That means that's really, their marketing is really good and their brand power is very high. And actually, I'm sure the audience would even want to know what brand power, like, how does this, how do you really do that for your own personal brand?
For your own personal brand, yes. So let me see where I can start with this. Let me actually kind of dive into, I call it the sushi restaurant example. Uh,
I
I'm
love
like, I'm like,
sushi.
I'm like, it's the example that I go to. And what this example is going to do, it's going to illustrate the power of branding. And then from there, I'll dive into the 4 pillars that help you develop your brand. So people think, for the most part, people just think that branding, some people think it's just the logo, it's a slogan. But it's much more than that. It's not just the logo. It's not just the slogan. It's all these different elements that come together that create a representation of what your business is and what it stands for. And when you put all of those pieces together, all of those pillars that I'm going to talk about helps form your brand. So let me start with the sushi restaurant example. And this is really going to illustrate exactly how branding works. So it's my birthday. And I want to go out with my friends and I want to go to a nice sushi restaurant. And so that's the only criteria. I just want to go to a nice sushi restaurant. So we're driving along and we see a block of restaurants. There's 3 restaurants in a row and they're all sushi restaurants. And so we go and decide to check it out. We're like, hey, cool. This is, sushi row or whatever you want to call it. And so we go to restaurant number 1, and restaurant number 1, we can see is kind of old. It's a little rundown. Some of the letters are missing from their sign. The paint's kind of peeling on the outside. They have their menu posted outside, but it looks like it's been there for a while. It looks like it's sitting in the sun, so it's faded. You can hardly see what's on it. And then you look for the host, and the host is in the back of the restaurant bussing some tables. It's not really busy. It's kind of dimly lit. There's some lights missing. And it just looks like it's clean, but it hasn't been really taken care of. It's just kind of there. So we're like, okay. So we move on to sushi restaurant number 2. And in sushi restaurant number 2, it's brightly lit. The sign is there in bright neon colors. It says sushi. And the host is standing outside in a nice polo and some khakis. And then you see the menu. And the menu, they serve sushi as well as tacos, cheeseburgers, and pizza. And so we're like, okay. So we look inside. Again, it's also brightly lit. There's these bright fluorescent lights overhead. All the light bulbs are on, but we see the tables and chairs. They're kind of basic, run-of-the-mill fast food restaurant tables and chairs. So nothing fancy, just, it's more reminiscent of a fast food restaurant. So we're like, okay. So we check out sushi restaurant number 3. And sushi restaurant number 3 is gorgeous. You can see from the outside that it's well taken care of. It has bamboo trees, nice lighting. It's got these soji style screen doors, very Japanese. They also have their menu posted outside, but it's like this beautiful menu that's etched in glass. And we go look for the host. The host is standing there. She has a nice modern top on and a pencil skirt. And she leads us inside, and we can see it's also dimly lit. But unlike restaurant number 1, it's because of the ambient lighting. They use candles, Japanese lanterns, and recessed lighting to light the place. The furniture is beautiful and modern. And they sell sushi as well, but they only sell sushi, no tacos or cheeseburgers in this restaurant. So of the 3 restaurants, which restaurant do you think I chose?
I'm sure you chose that 3rd one.
So restaurant number 3. And the thing about that is that restaurant number 3 is the obvious choice. And that is what you want for your business. You want to be the obvious choice when it comes to somebody making a business decision for you. And the reason we do that is it's not just the fancy doors. It's not just the Japanese lanterns. It's all of that. It's creating this ambiance. It's what they posted on the menu. They only serve sushi. They want to create this reputation of being a nice, beautiful looking restaurant. And then there's more that goes into that. During that restaurant, was my food good? Was this customer service great? That's all going to be factors in whether or not I tell people about this restaurant. And so the better the experience is, the more brand equity or brand power that you have, meaning that your brand is more powerful. It means a lot more to people when you have that awesome customer experience. So does that help you understand what branding is?
Totally. And you make sense, because of course a person's going to want to choose a quality restaurant. I mean, if you're looking for a quality place, because you said your criteria is it has to be a very, it has to be a fancy sushi place.
Yeah.
Now, if your criteria was any sushi place, then one or two could have counted as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So like, as you were saying, you were choosing you want us to choose number 3, or you would choose number 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but if there's someone who doesn't care and they're not picky like that, then what do you do with your branding at that point?
Yeah. So here's the reason I included the first 2 restaurants is because there are some coaches online that will say you don't have to worry, you don't need a website, you don't need professional photos. And all of that is technically true. You can make money online without a website. You can make money online without having a beautifully done website. But the thing is, you make it that much harder for you, for your clients to find you. You make it that much harder for you to make yourself seen as a credible authority figure. When you have that website and you have awesome social media graphics, you have that presence online, it makes people want to work with you more. You don't have to try and convince them. You don't have to do 100 sales calls. Instead, people will come to you and say like, oh, hey, I like what this person's doing. I like watching their videos. Their website looks really cool. I think I'm going to work with them. And here's the thing too, is that if it's a choice between 2 coaches who offer the same exact thing, and one has either no website or a poorly done website, and one that has a really nicely done website, I'm going to invest in the person who has a nicely done website, because I feel like they've invested in themselves. They've decided to put the money to create that website, to take the photos, because they care about their business. And so when they have that, it looks like they care about their business, as opposed to somebody who's neglected their business, like Sushi Restaurant Number 1. It's like, okay, does it look like you care? If I'm going to pay, whatever, $20 for a roll of sushi, I'm going to go with the nice restaurant. And then the other mistake that people make too is having too many offerings, which is why I included Sushi Restaurant Number 2. And people will say, hey, I'm a life coach, I'm a fitness coach, and I'm a makeup artist and a photographer. And you're just like, and they have all these offerings on their website. And I'm just like, so which one do you do? I'm like, if I was looking for a wedding photographer, do you think I would hire the wedding photographer or the wedding photographer / makeup artist / fitness coach? I'd probably hire just the wedding photographer. It's the same idea with the brain surgeon. Would you hire a general practitioner or a brain surgeon? It's
exactly.
Like the obvious choice is a brain surgeon. So it's all about making yourself be the obvious choice for the client that you want to attract. Like you were saying, if somebody doesn't care, they just want sushi and they want it cheap, they might go to restaurant number 1. And so it's all about how you position yourselves. And, you want to position yourself for people that you want to work with, for higher end clients, if you're offering some kind of service. So that's ultimately what you want to achieve with that. Do you want me to talk about the 4 pillars, or do you want me to?
Yeah. Let's go on with the 4 pillars.
Okay. So totally. I have these 4 pillars that I talk about that create a powerful personal brand. And so the first pillar is position. It's where you are in relation to everyone else in the industry. So you'll have I have a grid. I don't have a grid with me. I'm like, how do I just imagine there's a grid right there. On one side, it's high end and low end, meaning really fancy product and really kind of simple product. So simple and then fancy. And then we have on the other end, we have low price and high price. So you want to be somewhere towards the top end of the spectrum where it's a high-end product, high-quality product, and a higher price. And that's what we want to aim for. That's like the magic sweet spot that we want to aim for. And so that's positioning. So in the marketplace, you're obviously going to have different products, but ultimately the product that you have to offer in relation to everybody else is it a higher quality, high end product? So what I mean by that is you can do the same thing with cupcakes, which, range from like $1 to, even $10 a cupcake, to like fancy wedding cakes. Where are you on that grid for that particular product? And again, you want to be high end, high quality every single time. So that's positioning. In terms of like, and then positioning is not just high end, high quality, but it's also your niche or your niche, or however you want to say it. How do people see you? So as a fitness coach, there's 100 million fitness coaches out there. That's not a scientific number, but pretty much 100 million fitness coaches out there. And so people will say, okay, I'm a fitness coach who works with women. It's still not defined enough. There's let's say 50 million fitness coaches. But if you say, I am a fitness coach who works with new moms who just had a baby and they want to lose a baby weight, that's very, very specific. And if you can make it even more specific and say, and be location based, and I work specifically with, those moms inside of San Diego, you've cornered a market that's really, really small, but really, really powerful. Because if I was a new mom who lived in San Diego and, I was looking for a fitness coach to help lose the baby weight, and somebody had that exact same description on their website, I would sign up like that, because that is exactly what I'm looking for. And you want to be what somebody is looking for. So that's why you want to position yourself in a way that makes you, again, the obvious choice. So that's pillar number one, that's position. Pillar number two is people, and it's who are you trying to attract? And it kind of goes along with positioning, who you're trying to attract. You're that fitness coach who wants to attract new moms, who wants to attract, new moms who want to lose a baby weight. And there's two types of people. When I say that, I mean, there's your target audience, which is your broader general audience that you want to target, which is the new moms. And then your ideal client avatar, which you want to get super, super, super clear about. People are afraid of the ideal client avatar sometimes because they're afraid to be too specific. But the thing is, if you can create a story inside of your sales page, inside of your marketing that really talks about this one person, and you act as if you're talking to that one specific person, it really creates depth to the story. It creates a lot of, when you're like, imagine, you just had a baby and you wake up, it's 3 a.m. and you're tired and you have to feed this baby. And you're so frustrated because you don't have enough, you don't have enough energy to work out during the day. You're tired. And, during the day, you spend all your time taking care of your baby. Then you also have to take care of the housework and all of this. And then you also have to, make dinner. And at the end of the day, you have no energy. But then you start to eat because you feel frustrated. And so you start talking about these different elements of the stories about the specific person, and it draws you in because of the narrative. But just because, let's say I'm not necessarily a new mom, my baby's 5 years old now, but I still want to lose the baby weight. I mean, like, okay, cool. Okay, is this still for me? And like, people will come anyway, because you have that very specific narrative. And so, I was talking to Asia earlier about story. You create that story, the story is going to sell. People love stories. And so if you can create that story of your ideal client avatar, that's really going to draw people in. Okay, so we talked about position, we've talked about people, and then the last two pillars are presence, how you look online, and the last pillar is promotion. So presence is how you look online. And the thing is, people get kind of, caught up with, there's this kind of debate online about, should you have a great website, or do you need awesome photos? And the thing is, like I said, you don't
see that all the time.
and it's like, no, you don't need awesome photos. I just got paid $10,000 to whatever, and I don't even have a website. And yes, that is possible. You will see people making money. But again, like I said, it makes it that much harder for you to find clients. And why not give yourself a leg up, basically? Give yourself a leg up and position yourself in a way that puts yourself in front of people. You don't want to have to find other people. You don't want to have to keep making those sales calls. So, make yourself look good online. Hire a photographer to do your photos. If I had to choose between hiring a web designer and a photographer, I would say hire a photographer, because you can DIY a website.
That's
easy.
What I was just going to say. Yeah. Get a photographer. You know what? Stacy is an awesome photographer because she actually did some photos of me.
Yes.
If you see one of my if you see the photo of me on my banner up on where it says Awesome Aussie TV, you see my photo. That was Stacy who did that photo.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I'm so big on the visual aspect of brands. And when I see amazing websites, it just feels more credible. And so you want to be able to create that presence online. And finally, the last pillar is promotion. It's how you show up online. Are you showing up every day? Are you on social media? How often are you showing up? The more that you can put yourself out there, the more you can put your content out there, the more powerful your brand is going to be. So to tie this all back together, we talked about position, people, presence, and promotion. Each one of those is powerful in itself, but it's not enough to carry your business. You need all four to really make a powerful brand.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 pillars.
That makes sense. I love it that they're all P's.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of alliteration.
Yeah, I love it. P. So if you want to remember it, it's position. The first P is position. The second P is people. The third P is presence, and the fourth P is promotion. Yes. And these are, you're right, because they're all important. You have to put them all together, because, you can't just have photos of you, and headshots, but then you don't have a website. You can't just have, you can't just promote yourself when you don't have a presence. You need to create that presence. So I actually think that this is important stuff for people to learn and understand, especially because there's so many people that want to learn about business and then they're not, implementing any of these 4 things, especially in creating a brand, that it's hard for people to know, well, what exactly do you do? Mm-hmm. And I like that you talked about the avatar, because I know that was something for me that was really scary is, okay, well, how do I create my ideal avatar? Because if I do that, then I'm pretty much taking away, 6 million people out of the loop and only taking in like 50 people, or at least that was in my head, until I learned it. So you make a good point about that. Now, I know some people actually have a hard time creating that avatar. They have a hard time really getting into the story. What advice would you give to somebody who's dealing with that?
I love this question. Okay. So I can't take credit for this exercise because this is completely, I learned this from Alex Beaton. So an awesome exercise that you can do is think of, okay, so if you use Instagram, think of some people that you can, so think of the hashtags that your potential clients could be using. So for me, I'm a brand strategist. So people I want to work with are typically coaches. So I'll look up something like life coach, health coach, fitness coach, and that sort of thing. And then what you want to do is take a look at the pictures that are in there and look for selfies if you can. I know that your avatar may not have selfies, but try to find something that is representative of what they do. And for me, I like to do the selfies. Alex Beaton recommends the selfies, and save that into, there's like a little flag. I wonder if I can pull it up on my phone. There's like a little flag on the bottom right of the post. And then you just hold that down and then save it to a collection. And then at the end of
you mean like that little ribbon that's right there?
Yeah, it's like a little ribbon.
Yeah.
So let me show you my own photo. Can you see this? So this photo right here.
Could barely see it. It's kind of bright, but it's
so
kind of bright.
There.
Yeah.
So you just tap and hold on that and then save it to a collection. And then you collect about 50 of those if you can. If you get to 25, it's okay. But the more that you get, the better. And what that does is it gives you a picture, kind of a general picture of who it is you want to work with. And then you really dive into their story. Take a look at their profiles and kind of study them. What do all 50, I want to say women because I work with females, but what do all 50 of them have in common? What do their routines look like? What do they do in the morning? What do they do at night? What kind of people do they follow? And the other part of the exercise that I really find valuable are outliers. Because I started adding all the coaches, you want to buy all the things. So I wanted to add all the coaches. And so I was like, I started adding all the coaches. And then I realized I don't want to work with business coaches who have their stuff together because that's not who I'm looking for. And so I actually went back and I deleted those people. Anyone who had over 1,000 followers, I actually just automatically deleted. If they had less than 1,000 followers, I'm like, okay, so these are coaches who need to build their audience and these are the people I want to work with. And so you'll start looking and finding outliers that are people who you don't want to work with. And just through this exercise, you'll find what they have in common. You'll learn who you do want to work with, who you don't want to work with. So start off by simply figuring out a few hashtags that that your ideal customer uses, and then search for those on Instagram, and then create a collection. And then you can take it one step further and start doing one-to-one research. If you're brave and you're bold enough, you can either do this with the people that you saved or inside of Facebook groups and just ask them a series of questions that helps you identify what their pain points are. And so you can have questions like, questions inside of a survey, or if you get on a Skype call with them one-to-one, that's way more powerful than a survey. The survey will give you a glimpse, kind of a snapshot. But like, take the time to interview, I would say, at least 5 of your ideal customers, and that'll really give you a clear picture of who your ideal client is. And you can paint a picture from that. So kind of an amalgam of like all these different people into one avatar. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure, that makes a lot of sense, because it's, by saving the pictures, like you said, on Instagram, finding those people, saving those pictures, in the collections, and kind of looking at different selfies, and then, talking to ideal customers. I mean, that's really interesting. I like the fact that you talked about doing surveys. Have you heard of Ryan Levesque's book?
Yes, the Ask Method.
Yeah, the Ask Method. He talks about all these different types of surveys. And I know one of the surveys, the first one he talks about it, he says you want to ask them, you want to ask people, what is their number one biggest challenge in whatever that field is? What is your number one biggest challenge in your business? What is your number one biggest challenge as a coach? Whatever that question is. But what's the number one biggest challenge? And then from there, you're able to say, okay, this is their number one biggest challenge. This is the number one thing I've seen that these people have an issue with. Now I'm going to go ahead and look into creating my avatar and then my product and my service that's totally targeted to those people. So I really like that you talked about the surveys. And it just makes sense. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it makes sense to the audience who's watching as well. Like my audience, definitely is going to be learning a lot from you right now about the 4 pillars and about the avatars. Because like I said, that's one of the biggest hangups I think most people have is the avatars.
Yeah.
So thanks for that. That's
yeah,
of
info. Course. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, aside from, the branding and the 4 pillars and the avatars, what's one piece of advice that you would give to our audience today? What's the one advice that you give
in terms of
branding, in terms of being able to create your personal brand?
Okay. One piece of advice is, this is going to sound kind of generic, but figure out what it is that you want and what it is that you truly want. Not what you think you want, not what you think your audience wants, but what it is that you want. Because what will happen, I've done this before time and time again, where I give what my audience wants, but it's not what I want. So I spent like a year creating a program that I was just like, I don't even want this. My audience wants it, but I don't want it. So my heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
And so, figure out what it is that you want, because from there, once you know what you want and you figure out this is what my business is going to be, you can build your brand from there. But if you're starting off with a brand that's just like, something you're not really passionate about, something you're doing just to make money on the side, you can't build a brand off of something just to make money off the side. Now, if you're making money on the side and you love it and you're obsessed with it, then that's a different story. But you have to love it to create that brand, because if you're struggling to put together your brand, you don't love it enough. That's kind of my idea of how I see that is. Yeah. So just, it's so cliche, but it's so true.
It makes sense.
Figure out what you want.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're basically telling us to find our passion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and if we don't know what our passion, and I've gone through that struggle. Stacey, you and I, we've been doing this for the last couple of years. We know each other well enough to know about it. You've seen me going through my struggle. What the heck do I do? Where do I find it? And then finally, I figured it out. It took me a while. And I figured it out. Okay, this is I love leadership. I love talking about this. This is my passion. So if it's my passion, I want to put it out there. Passion about leadership, speaking, personal development. So why not? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you really hit the nail on the head there with that advice. And I'm sure that it's something that, I think we all need more of, because I feel like I see people out there and they're doing their stuff, but it's like, I sometimes question, do they really enjoy what they're doing, or are they just doing it because they are making, it's just money? You know what I mean? Because the money's going to come, you just have to figure out your passion. Like you said, figure out what you want.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
branding. I could talk about branding all day long. Like I tried doing some other things in terms of like, because I was working with handmade businesses to help them create their marketing for their business, but I didn't love it. Like I was good at it, and I made money doing it, but just like I was just like, this is not my life's calling. And so every
Yeah.
single time I always come back to branding, and I'm like, I should just do branding. Like why it's a no brainer for me.
Right, because it's something that you love so much. Like, why not just do it? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I love it. Now, one last question I'm going to ask you is this. It's for the person who is just starting their business.
Hmm.
They are just starting it out. They know what they want to do, but they're just starting out, and now they need to figure out if they need to make a logo, if they need to do, if and I've gone through this. It's like, should we make a logo? What should we do first? What's that first step that they need to take in order to start the branding process?
Start the branding process. I'm like, get my freebie. But
Yes.
seriously, I have a worksheet, a workbook where it walks you through what the different things that it walks you through the four pillars and tells and kind of it just asks you some questions to help you think about what your brand should look like. And so some questions are like, as far as positioning, who's in your industry, where do you want to position yourself? I think that's the first pillar of branding, and I actually think that's where you should start. Where in the industry do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? And figure that out. Because I remember when I was working with handmade businesses, and I was trying to figure out, I wanted to create my own line of handmade products so that I could understand people who made handmade products, so I could help them with their marketing strategy. And so I created a line of candles, and the first thing I did was figure out what made my candle different, because there are hundreds of handmade candle makers. There's Yankee Candle Company. You can buy candles at the dollar store. I'm like, if people can buy candles at the dollar store, why do I even bother making candles? So what I did is I positioned myself. I said, I'm going to be a high-end candle. It's going to be beautiful. I see other handmade candle makers kind of really make these homemade looking candles, but I want it to look like a high-end handcrafted candle. And so I use words like handcrafted, not homemade. And I was very diligent about choosing my container. I wanted it to be earth friendly, so I chose soy wax. And so I made everything with essential oils. I didn't use any synthetic oils. And so I made it this high-end candle. So I go from, you have these candles that you can buy at the dollar store, and here I am selling candles for $30 made with, essential lavender oils. Just way more than what you can buy at Walmart. And the reason I was successful with that is because I knew who I was targeting. It was a unique product offering. It's like some people say made with essential oils. It was made entirely, like there was no synthetic fragrance in it whatsoever. And so it was unique, and people were like, this is different. I want this. People like different. And so I created this, this line of candles, and I started with position. So it's a kind of a long,
Yeah.
a long way
No, but
about it. But yeah, start with your position.
yeah, no, but that's good. So are you still doing candles, or you just kind of stopped that?
No, well, the funny thing is, like, I just built the candles because I wanted to learn how
Oh.
to run a handmade business. And so I learned it, and then I was like, okay, I'm done.
Because I'm gonna say, like, if you still have those candles, bring them over here.
You know what? I still have the stuff to make the candles. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make some candles and do Christmas presents.
Who knows? Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Send some this way. I love lavender essential oil. So it
Oh my
smells so
goodness.
nice.
Yeah.
It smells nice. But that's the beautiful part of your journey of learning and understanding, is that you wanted to do something to learn. And I want to tell the audience, like, if that's something, what Stacy says resonates with you, maybe you need to do that. Is if you want to learn more about a particular industry, or you want to know how things are happening, get into it and actually start doing it. And then from there, if it's something that calls out for you and it lets you know that this is what you want to do, you can keep doing it, or you can learn what you need to learn from it and implement it into whatever aspect of your business that you're doing, you know?
Mhm.
So, Stacey, that was some awesome stuff that you gave us today in the interview. I know I've learned so much from you. I know my audience is learning from you, and whoever else is going to end up watching this video, because it's going to be on my YouTube channel forever, and ever and ever. People are going to be watching this and learning it, and I think branding is an important aspect that I think everybody needs to know about. And with that said, Stacey, how can people find you?
The best place to find me right now is brandonblossom.com. That is where I have well, I will have the freebie, and it's also where I have the free community. So if you want to ask me questions about branding or anything like that, anything about graphic design, feel free to hop on to the community at brandonblossom.com. So yeah, that's the best place to find me. If you're on Instagram, the best place to find me is at Stacy A. Barnes, STACYABARNES. I love doing stories, and I love sharing tips and tricks and stuff inside of Instagram stories. So those are the two best places to find me.
Awesome. Great. I'm going to make sure that all of that stuff is put down on the links below. So if you're looking for Stacy, you want to know more about what she does, you want to know more about her branding and style, all the links, everything's going to be written down below this video. So go ahead and check it down there. If you haven't subscribed to Asya TV or Live, Lead, and Inspire by Asya TV, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, press that red button and subscribe, because you're always going to be notified of future videos and interviews that will be coming up, just as the one that I've just done with Stacy. And with that said, all the information Stacey's going to have is going to be down there, and the links are going to be down there. Follow her on Instagram, find her on Facebook. You're find her on brandonblossom.com, and I think it'll lead you to her group that she's talking about, right?
Yeah, it'll lead you to everything. Yeah.
Perfect. And her freebie is going to be on there. That'll teach you more about branding if that's something that you're really wanting to understand more about for yourself. Even if you're someone who's already gotten a brand, but you're still kind of maybe transitioning or trying to make sure if this is something right for you, I definitely suggest reaching out to Stacy, get into her group. I suggest getting on her website, downloading that freebie no matter what, and getting that together. Thank you so much, Stacy, for coming on today and for being a part of Asya TV and sharing amazingly awesome golden nuggets with us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes, thank you. All right, everybody, signing off of Asya TV. I hope to see you all in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.